Alright guys, welcome back to Yospill and hope you're having a wonderful day. So, as you can tell from the title of this video, we are gonna dyno the minivan. When I say the minivan, this is probably the cleanest 80s caravan, well actually Voyager, that you have ever seen or that you will ever see on YouTube or anywhere, because this thing has been featured on Jalopnik. This thing only has 32,000 original miles on it. The only thing on this van that really isn't original, of course, is like the battery, the tires, and the shocks. But this thing was last inspected in 1990. It's literally been in storage ever since then. We're the second or third owner that I believe. But let me flip the camera around here, show you the minivan, and hope you guys are ready to see what it actually makes on the dyno. Alright guys, let's get right into it. There's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of explaining. If you guys do not know the backstory on a Chrysler Caravan or a Plymouth Caravan, it's real simple. Chrysler went through some bad economic times. They got some money from the government. They needed a car to basically save the company. They built the K-Car. The K-Car platform became about 5 or 6 different cars. It also became a not a Ranchero. It became a Rampage, which is basically like a front-wheel drive Ranchero or El Camino, and it also became the Chrysler minivan. This is the Plymouth variant. This is a Plymouth Voyager. Like I said earlier in this video, this van only has 32,000 original miles. This van is also a base model. It does not have a trim package on it. Back when they made these vans, the base models didn't even get a trim package. It had no name, so it literally just says Plymouth Voyager. This van, because it is a 1986, which is the first generation, has one sliding door and only one seat. There's only place for one seat in this van. It is a lot shorter than most of the caravans you guys have ever seen. It's a little short back end. They did make these in a longer version later on. They did make these in 5-speed and in automatic, and this happens to be a 5-speed caravan. Well, Voyager. You can't even see the shifter in there, but trust me, there's a shifter in there. You'll see it later in the video. This thing was produced before they even mandated headrest. So, this thing is powered by a 2.2 liter carbureted 4-cylinder that has a mechanical fuel pump. So there is not even an electronic fuel pump on this car. So if you see me turn it over a couple of times, it's actually waiting for fuel pressure. From the factory, this thing produced 97 horsepower to the crank and 119 foot-pounds of torque. They produced a god-awful amount of these minivans. But I have personally never seen or never heard of anyone else that has one with only 32,000 original miles on it. We can go in here to the cluster and you can see this van doesn't even have a tachometer. It has a 85-mile-an-hour speedo, and the the mileage counter only shows 32,068 miles. This car also doesn't have any gauges. It has warning lights for everything. It only has an volt gauge. You can see the little backlighting right here. We do have the seat out because we raced it. And if you guys ever wondered what a bone stock minivan runs, 1975 is the best we could get out of it. So without a tack, we really didn't know what we were shifting at. We really didn't know anything. My brother drove it, and like I said, it's 5-speed. So we have been interested since we've bought this thing, exactly what it makes for power. Now, what has been changed? The only thing that is not OEM performance-wise is this does not have a catalytic converter on it. The catalytic converter was pulled out and it was replaced with a resonator. The exhaust was open when we got it, so I did that just so it was quiet. So if you hear it backfire in the video, it has a little exhaust leak. But other than that, this thing is 100% OEM, the way it came in 1986, and I'm super excited to see what it makes on the dyno. Alright, so we have the minivan started now, and we're going to let it warm up a little bit. As you see, there is no temperature gauge itself. It just has a temperature warning light, fuel gauge, of course speedo, volt gauge, put your seatbelt on, and then your oil light and your turn signal lights. So this thing doesn't actually have any gauges in it, so we don't even know temperature wise or anything. You'll just know when it overheats. So I'm gonna give it a little while to warm up, and then we'll get to do our first dyno pull. All right guys, we got a little heat in the minivan, and we're gonna go for our first dyno pull. Remember, 97 horsepower, 119 foot-pounds of torque is the factory rating. Fourth gear, 2,500 RPMs, is on the floor. I'm gonna have to put you guys so you can see the speedometer. That was like, I don't know how fast it was. It was way off the speedometer. That was over 100 miles an hour in fourth gear. She made 78 horsepower and 110 foot-pounds of torque. The tune is so good. Alright guys, we're going to do the second pull. First gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Alright, she's on the floor. That is floored. Alright guys, so she warmed up a little bit, made a little extra power, so we're going to try another fourth gear pull. Oh, she's unhappy. There we go. So she has this thing on the dash, it's like a field pacer. It's like basically to help with the fuel mileage. And when you barely lay in the gas, basically the roller, it tries to like cut out to make it just get better fuel mileage. So 2,700, she's on the floor. Alright, 3 dyno pulls, 78 horsepower, 79 horsepower, and 80 horsepower. So we have 3 consistent pulls. in 4th gear. At least we know what she makes.
Ready for that raw power?
Alright guys, so we're going to do a 3rd gear pull, just to show you guys the difference. There's my RPM gauge, 3rd gear pull. See that motor in there. Third gear. Old cleater over there. There's the 3rd gear pull. Made 81 horsepower in 3rd gear, but only 106 foot-pounds of torque. So I'm gonna stop beating on the van now. We just went to the dyno just to see what it makes. So in 1986, this van made 97 crank horsepower and 119 crank torque, and now it makes a best of 81.86 crank horsepower or wheel horsepower and a best of 110 foot-pounds of torque. So guys, we're gonna take her down the street after making that incredible 80 horsepower on the dyno. Let's see how she feels on the road. So like I said, this thing is carbureted 2.2 and it only has 32,000 miles on it, so the amount of driving done in the 35 years old that it is, it's less than 1,000 miles per year. And the little fuel pacer thing, like I said, on the dyno, when the little light comes on, you can feel it get real lean, and I guess it does something to the carburetor. I don't exactly know, I'm not a carburetor person. I've never even in my life ever tried to tune a carburetor, but 4th gear on the dyno at 6,000 RPMs was 110 miles an hour, so that's interesting to know. Now, the goal for the minivan in the future, like I said, is either going to be a T3 swap, which I'm actually really siding on the T3 swap. I think it would be cool to make this thing make about 500 horsepower with the T3, and you know, go after that low 11-second pass. Just because of how clean it is, how nice it is, I want it to be like basically if Plymouth and Dodge built a SRT Caravan back in the 80s, would be my approach. And we're in 5th gear putting. It doesn't have much power. What surprises me more than anything is the torque. So it's only rated at 119 foot-pounds of torque, or crank torque from the factory, and it made 110 to the wheel. So that's a very soft rating. Car companies are known to do that because, of course, torque is what moves the vehicle. That's what we feel. The steering is very tight. I believe it has a manual rack. The shifter is very tight. But like I said, this thing doesn't have any miles on it. I can't turn around. We're in a minivan, we'll be fine. We're gonna floor 15 miles an hour.
This thing is fun. It's so slow. If you, like I said, if you hear the backfire, the backfire is just because there's an exhaust leak. I welded a resonator in where the cat was because when we got the vehicle there was no cat there. So, let me know what you think about the minivan down in the comments below. I literally haven't driven this thing, so I just wanted to drive it. It feels like an 80s caravan. That's the easiest way to explain it. It's loose, it's slow, and it feels like you're on a big boat. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and till the next one, you guys are the greatest.